Why he fighting this? Why? What is his goal?
Do you understand the words that come out of my mouth?
Welcome back to the Immigrant section. I'm your host, Abbas Wahab, and in the studio today, we've got Moe Ismail. How are you, brother?
I'm good, bro. How you doing?
You like how I said that? Moe Ismail? I said
That was
it right?
good. You got the ain in there.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people mess up the ain.
People usually give it to you probably like Old Testament style, right?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Like Ishmael or something like
Yeah,
that.
some people say Ishmael. Some people say Ismail. Like is. I'm like, it's not is. It's is.
Dude, it's one of those ancient names, though. It's tough. But
is.
luckily, it's your last name.
Yeah.
Mo
yeah.
is obviously like, what, the most popular name?
Muhammad, yeah.
Muhammad, yeah. But Ishmael is like, what are the other like ancient, Isaac is not bad. Ishmael, like.
Who did I, man, I was in Egypt last month and I met somebody who had a weird, it was like, their name was like Horus or something like that, like an ancient like Egyptian, god or whatever. And it was just like, what? They still got names like that?
Horus? Yeah. Well,
Horus.
I feel like that's even lesser than Ishmael. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. That's pretty ancient. That's like right up there. That's
Horus.
He's one of the big Egyptian guys. I don't know much. Like I took a.
He's the Egyptian version of Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
Horus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact same story.
That's why obviously he never. That's the Blu-ray HD video version of names right there. You're never gonna make it with a name like Horus. You know what I mean? He just fell to the wayside, You got to go with Jesus every time, right? He just fell. Bro, thanks so much for coming on to the Immigrant section, man.
Thanks for having me,
Repping
man.
Egypt.
All
Repping
day.
Egypt.
All day.
Obviously, Sudan and Egypt, we are neighbors. We've been neighbors since day one. And I recently found out Sudan is pretty much just like old Egypt land.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of Sudanese people live in Egypt until now.
Okay, take it easy. All right. I just found this out. No, I'm just kidding. one at a time, you're actually Egyptian pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're just, I don't know, I obviously going to Egypt, I never really lived there, but going there for vacations and stuff, we'd always meet like Sudanese people on vacation, and they're always just like the best. And it's weird when you generalize that a whole country is nice because of a couple of nice people you met.
It's so true. Dude, I went to Egypt when I was 10 years old. We went back to Sudan for the summer and we stopped by Egypt for 2 weeks. I remember being in Cairo and I remember seeing a group of teenagers circle beat an old man.
No. What?
And I was like, Egypt is so fun. I had the most... I swear to God, bro, they were jumping. Bro, it was an old man. I've never seen anything like it.
What was I guess you don't know the context.
It was in the capital, bro. It was like in a very touristy area. They were just stomping them.
Whoa.
Yeah, and like
there's more to it.
There definitely is more to it, but I mean.
You could have.
No. We quickly walked by. I didn't see the beginning. I didn't see the end. I don't know if they're filming a scene because it just seemed so. I was shocked. I thought I was sold on Egypt being a fucked up place.
Well, there is a national day that we have in Egypt. It's called "Kick the Shit Out of an Old Man Day," and it's all the teenagers.
Is it in the summer? I might have been there that day.
Yeah, that's what it is. You find the nearest old man, and you give him a solid beating.
It's the Egyptian way, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually how King Tut died.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're celebrating, his death. It's kind of like Memorial Day.
Egyptian Memorial Day. And the more you know, right?
Yeah.
And now you know. But now the listeners know a little bit of rich Egyptian culture and heritage.
Exactly.
Do you remember Khan al-Khalili?
Yeah, I love that place.
That's a big market in the capital of Egypt. That's like a very Arabian style Haggle market. A lot of tents, a lot of people like hearing of cops and quickly picking up linen that has all of their items for sale and dipping.
Oh man, because it's so overpopulated, people really want to try to like make money, in any way possible. So then what they end up doing is they just like, people that are poor that have very limited resources, they'll just sell all these things on a blanket on the side of the road or whatever, right? And it could be whatever. It could be napkins, it could be little souvenirs or whatever. And because it's illegal, you're on city property and they don't want you clogging up the sidewalks.
Exactly.
So once in a while, like one of these big trucks will come and all these army dudes will hop out and just ransack everything.
But they'll smell them coming. They always have they always have spotters.
Yeah. Some dude saw a little kid
You just
running
hear a
down
guy
the
yelling
street.
out, "Ya Abu Ali! Ya Abu Ali! Al-Askar!"
Yeah.
Like the army's coming. Dude, I remember I went to Sudan again at a separate time with my brother. Me and my brother went to, the whole family went to Sudan, and me and my brother went to this like camp in the capital, in Khartoum. And at one point we went to a market in the capital, and me and my brother were just shopping around, and we go up to a guy selling fake Rolexes. All right, and this guy, we get him down to 25,000, which is like, at the time it was like 25 like Sudanese dinars pretty much, which is like, I don't even know what the conversion is right now. Pretty much nothing. We got him down to like something good for him, it's nothing for us, right?
Yeah.
And I remember me and my brother, I was 15, my brother was 16, and we talked about, we quickly we're like, are we gonna do this? We're gonna buy it? But we talked in English within earshot of him. And I still remember him doing this, like his eyes started bouncing back and forth.
No.
And I swear to God, he goes, "500."
Oh, he changes it right away.
He multiplies it by 20. He says 500. It's almost as if his mind was overwhelmed by greed as soon as he heard us speak English. Overwhelmed. He yelled out, imagine being at Foot Locker and starting to speak German or something.
Yeah, they're like, no,
like,
double it up.
2,000 for the Nikes. He looked confused as if he didn't even know what he just said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think haggling there is like just a whole other game. Like, it's in the culture. Like, you have to haggle. You're not gonna, like, people make the mistake of just going to a market there and then grabbing something and looking at it and being like, okay, so this costs 20 Egyptian pounds. I'm gonna pay you 20. But it's like, what you don't know is they know that you're a tourist if you're paying the price tag. What you're supposed to do is look at the price. There's a process, okay? Here's how the process works, okay?
Please explain. So Mo's now he's going to explain pretty much the immigrant haggling process. And this same kind of thing happens everywhere in the world in different languages.
Is it the same style?
The same style. That ticket price is always an absurd starting number.
No, but the approach. So there's a different approach. The way it works when you're haggling is that you're supposed to walk in and, they'll say hello. You walk into the shop, they'll greet you, whatever, right? And you look at something, you go, oh, okay, this is nice. How much is this? And they don't say the price, right? So you go, how much is this? And they go, no, it's for free. Habibi, it's for you. Habibi, you ask for my eyes. I give it to you. Why? This is free. This is nothing. I give you 5 more. It's free. And you're as the customer, it's not free. You're not supposed to be like, oh, it's free? Okay, all right, thanks, and walk away because they'll chase you down.
It's not actually free.
It's not free.
Yeah.
But like as a thing of respect, they do that, right? They go, oh, it's free.
It's like a joke.
Yeah. So then you go, come on, man, give me a price. You gotta beg to pay.
Exactly.
Please give me the price.
It's part of the game.
Right? So then they go, you know what? Whatever you want. So it's really a game of who's going to say a price first. He'll go, whatever you want. You go, come on, give me a price. He goes, hey, give me a price. Whatever you want, it's yours.
So let's say, for the sake of the listeners, this thing is reasonably priced at $10, let's say.
Yeah.
Now let's start with where it'll actually go.
So it's 10.
10 is the real market value of this thing.
Okay. So for him to make money, I got to pay 10.
Yeah.
Right? So the way it'll work is I'll go, finally he'll say a price. I'll go, how much is it? He go, no. And I go, yes. He goes, okay, fine. This is 20. And I go, 20? And then I'm supposed to, at this point, is where the conversation switches up. So it goes from, I give you my eyes, and then 20, right? And then you go, 20 for this garbage?
Insulting.
Yeah, you want me to pay 20 for this piece of garbage? You're like, get out of here, I don't want this. I go, what? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, if I give it to you for 10, I lose my business. I have to shut it down. My kids have to eat, and they got to tie.
Egyptians are the most dramatic Arabs.
Oh, man.
One of the most dramatic cultures, people, the hand talk and everything.
The hand talk, yeah. I got kids, So then I just go, and then you got to do the walk away. You go, okay, man, look, God bless you. I wish you all the best with your business. Take care, and you walk out. And they go, okay, how much you want to pay? 20's too much. How much you want to pay? You go, I'll give you 5. He goes, 5! Oh my God!
5 يلا go.
Yeah, 5.
امشي يلا.
خلاص
5?
لا لا
Yeah,
5 ايه يا عم no you know they just
Yeah,
do one of
5?
these.
No, get out of here.
No.
But
But then you go, all right, man. Well, okay,
Okay.
fine. And then you feel you
you
gotta
show them
meet-
your back.
You gotta you show them, but you also give a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you go too hard and they're like, this guy's not shopping. He's just talking shit. right?
Exactly, yeah.
So then I go and then you go, okay, fine, 10, and then you meet at 10.
Exactly. Dude,
Right.
it's so funny that you just went through that. I remember the most recent time I was in Sudan. I went Christmas break between first and second year of university. I think it was 18. And go to Sudan for 2 weeks. I remember going to a market and essentially did this haggle process with a guy selling sandals. Okay, I wanted to buy you can get nice leather sandals in Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You can't get those sandals here, you know? Those are African sandals. So I go, guys, he's got, you know, his little fucking cube selling sandals and whatever. All I started doing was mimicking the exact things I remember my dad saying when he haggles. But here's the problem. I was saying them. I shouldn't be saying those things for someone my age because I'm haggling with a man, 45, and all I was saying was swear words. I thought the aggression was justified. I thought this is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like a stupid Canadian boy at this point, you know, just so out of touch. Bro, I'm haggling with this guy. You know what I'm telling him?
What?
I'm like, yeah, I'm here with the kalb, like.
Oh no.
I'm telling him like, yo, bro, you son of a bitch. Like I'm
Yeah.
saying all this stuff. At the end, he fucking got mad. My little brother was with me. He's like, تقول لي أنا يا ود الكلب والله. He goes, you call me son of a bitch, you boy. And he starts getting up to actually hit me.
Oh no.
And me and my brother ran up. When haggling went to almost just violence.
Dude, yeah, you gotta, respect is a big thing. over
Exactly,
there.
yeah. It was just my
People-
tone was way off. I was
Yeah.
talking like I was a man. I was just replicating my dad's words.
Yeah,
And I almost got beat.
No, they don't, no, dude.
Bro, we ran.
Yeah.
He was throwing sandals and shit.
You're in this guy's shop calling him a son of a bitch.
Bro, I was saying what the kalb. I was saying
Oh,
la 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 la.
Yeah.
Like, I forget what I was saying, but I was saying no, that price is stupid. I was saying like
Oh my God.
I was just as soon as he literally I'm not kidding when I say he threw sandals. He actually
Yeah.
did. He threw one sandal
yeah.
when we ran.
Yeah.
But as I was running, I was like, "Fuck, those were all swear words." I was so caught
It
up in
didn't
the
click
moment
until that point.
of just because I was in front of my little brother.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like, I'm gonna haggle in this
Yeah,
moment.
yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
man, right?
Yeah.
And it was just it
No,
was so
they don't.
embarrassing.
You know what, man? My mom, until today, she'll haggle just for the sport. Like she'll haggle, like she'll walk into shops.
It can be a rush.
But she doesn't even want what's in the store.
Yeah.
Like she's got earrings. She doesn't want earrings, but she's like, I just want to look. And then she'll see something that she kind of likes, but she knows she's not gonna buy it.
Yeah.
How much is this? And then they go through the process, and they'll as soon as they sense that you're not from there, like you said, they'll hike it up.
They will legitimately multiply like
so much higher.
orders of magnitude 10 plus times.
Yeah, and you gotta accept that as part of like the everyday life there. People go there and get anxious. It's not. You just gotta. That's how it is.
Exactly.
You know, you don't go in. So, excuse me. My mom will go in. She'll ask for the price. No, it's free. No, whatever. I give you my eyes, and then eventually they go. So then he'll give her the price. She'll go no. And my mom is a professional bargainer. Is that how you say it?
Bargainer.
Yeah, she knows how to bargain, man, and she will bring people down to their knees. Like where he's like, okay, I've given you this on an insane discount, but I'm also giving you a necklace with it, and I'm giving you a bracelet, and I'm giving you the keys to my house.
Yeah.
I got my firstborn is your
kids.
son.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like an NBA trade where she's got LeBron and he's got like a bunch of like, you know, a couple of second rounders or something.
Just desperate to make the sale.
Oh man. So then once she brings the person down to the very lowest, then she'll look at it, she'll be like, no, quality is no good. This thing.
Your mom is evil, bro.
She's like, Allah ma'ak, Rabbina ma'ak. You know, and she'll walk away.
God be with you. And she walks
God be
off.
with you. And
man. Your mom's evil, bro.
And I've looked at some of these guys as we're walking away, and it's like, dude, they are so defeated.
Yeah,
they
man.
are so defeated.
Because these people, man, like I always think about that. I'm like, I wonder how how many legitimate sales they need to make a day at a legitimate price to get by, you know?
Well, I
They
think
gotta count on one or two Hail Mary prices where some blind tourists pay. That's why they'll literally, like, I'm not kidding when I say, like, fake Rolex, they will, if you're a white couple, they'll give you the real Rolex price at the beginning. It's fake item worth $3, and they'll say 3,000 at the beginning.
Yeah.
They'll say 3,000, and they'll keep a straight face as if there's a possibility that this thing is actually authentic.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you're sitting on a milk cart
Yeah.
turned upside down.
Yeah.
You have 3 watches. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
these aren't real.
And you pay $3,000, and that's paying his rent for the next 3 years.
Oh, it's a story for the rest of his life. His kids, he's going to put his grandkids to
yeah,
bed.
it's a lottery. Like,
And then the Swedish tourists came.
and changed my life forever.
They were wearing cargo vest, cargo shorts, and Judd, everything cargo. I knew.
And they give me 3,000 now. Infinity pool.
And that's how you all have engineering degrees and paid for educations.
Yeah.
Invested well in that first $3,000 fake Rolex sell.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, no, they like to aim high. But again, you know, I think over there the way business runs is that there's way more people than there is here. So when you start like a restaurant, the chances of a restaurant picking up here in North America is like
Very low.
very low.
Chances are you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But over there, it's like a restaurant is what you open up when you want to play it safe and make money.
Yeah, a totally different vibe.
Right?
Yeah,
because
you're right.
because you look at 30 million people living in Canada, or maybe 35 now. Over there, so 35 is Canada. Over there, 35 million is in Cairo. Like the country has 100 million
The
people.
GTA, yeah.
Almost 100 million people. Like that, like Egypt. You know what I mean? That's how many, like 3.5 more times than Canada.
Yeah.
Right? So
But
everybody,
that's mostly around Alexandria, Cairo, like the dense metro cities.
not necessarily. Now it's really starting to expand. Now it's really like
What are the other notable big cities in Egypt?
Sharm. There's
Which one of them has all the resorts?
there's a bunch. Like Sharm, Alexandria has a few resorts. What's the other? Ghardaa, Sahel, which is like the north coast. Like Gona, El Gona is like a new one that's like within the last like 10, 20 years has been really popping off. Like all these like foreign tourists go there.
Is it a big tourism or is it commerce? Or like, what's the vibe there?
Yeah, a little bit of both, I think. They're just like expanding, man. And because there's so many people and it's so dense, it's like people just can't stand it anymore. It's like their developments are, you know how there's all these this condo boom in Toronto that's been happening forever now? It's like,
Yeah, through foreign investment.
yeah, over there it's like cities being built outside of Egypt now and like massive towns.
Through foreign investment.
I don't think it's through foreign. I mean, maybe some of it.
Okay.
Some is local, some is foreign.
So, have you been going back on a pretty regular basis?
No. This past summer, like this summer was my first time in 8 years.
Okay. So, 8 years, that was pre-revolution. Or was that right around then?
Right after.
It was right after, was it?
Right after, yeah.
So, what's the difference between right after and now?
Oh, man, night and day. Like, people over there are not like...
What was it like right after? Do you remember? Yeah.
Yeah, it was... I mean, the mood was obviously tense, you know?
Yeah.
It was in a time where, you know, the Mubarak had just stepped down, and then, you know, they had... I don't know if they had put Morsi into power or not.
It was a committee at the time.
Or a
something.
committee at the time, but it was fresh. It was very fresh. Like I went to Tahrir Square where they had all the protests and you know and
And there's still Snickers bars on the ground.
well
and shit.
no dude, it was sidewalks were ripped out, like people, because there was rocks being thrown. People died, like a lot of people died in that square, so they were just like ripping out, like, you know, because it was a fight between like the, you know,
Yeah, the state and the people.
and you know, so it was tense. But then now,
So what was the square? Was it empty when you went?
when I went, it was
full of
empty.
tourists?
No, it was empty.
So what was the state of it? Was it? Did you
was
see
it-
blood on the ground? Or
I
you,
didn't
like-
see blood, but I saw a lot of damage. Like I
Okay.
saw a lot of damage to property. You look at buildings built, like there was buildings that were burnt, and there was, you know, now it's all been cleaned up and everything's.
You went to Tahrir Square again now?
Yeah, it's downtown.
And it's completely different now?
yeah, man. It's they made it really nice, and it's, you know, it's just.
Is there any remnant at all of any sort of destruction from 8 years ago? or they cleaned it all up?
No, I'm sure if you look for it, there probably is some sort
Oh,
of.
yeah, from your eyes, from the outside perspective.
But not like I didn't go anywhere where those things were. Like, I tried not to do anything that was like too touristy, or I mean, not that that's touristy, but this trip was more about like discovering like myself and my roots and like the culture that I grew up part of, but never in. You know, like I've been here since I was 7 years old. And I never lived in Egypt. Like I was born in Saudi Arabia. So for me, Egypt was only vacation. So I only knew Egypt by like the delicious restaurants that we would eat at, or the family that we would see, or the, let's go to the swimming pool, or the
vacation mode.
Vacation, let's go to the beach, but I never really took in the culture. So because of that, growing up, I was never like, I had the problem where I was never Arab enough to roll with the Arabs.
Yeah.
And I was never white enough to roll with the whites. And I was never black enough to roll with the blacks.
Yeah.
Not brown enough to roll with the browns. So I was just this...
in limbo.
I'm just this beige dude who's just kind of like
Exactly. I'm in a very similar boat.
Yeah.
So I'm overdue for a trip just like that for Sudan. I went back. I lived there until I was 3. Then I lived in Amman, Muscat, like Middle East, and from like 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Then moved to Canada when I was in first grade, 6 years old. 5th grade, I go to Sudan all summer. 10th grade, I go to Sudan all summer. And then I go one more time in university. So those 3 stopovers after being pretty much like a first world kid.
Yeah.
I went back to Sudan 3 times.
Did you enjoy it?
For the first 2 times we went the whole summer, and we were living in the villages. So I fully understand. I was straight up playing with my village cousins and like totally village living, right?
Yeah.
That 3rd time I went, I was just staying in like the capital the whole time, chilling. I still am overdue for a trip now to go back. Maybe, I don't know, in these next couple of years, just to go back and actually like absorb it from my mindset now. Because the last time I went, I didn't finish my degree. I didn't have work experience. I barely traveled like worldwide, and I wasn't doing comedy. So I think now I'll have a completely different set of perspectives. Like I'll have a way more open mind.
Yeah.
Because before, like, if I went 3 years ago, I would have been just judging religion. Because, pretty much when I swayed away from religion, the pendulum swung the complete other way. So I'd have been like, man, this is so religious. I wouldn't have been able to look past that, and see like the beauty within it still.
Yeah.
And I think I'm right around that area where just what you experienced this summer, I want to do that for Sudan.
Dude, I think as a person who has roots somewhere else in the world, you'd be surprised by how many things you have like in common with that place. Like, for example, like I said, it's like even though I am Egyptian, I've never really like felt Egyptian here, and I've never felt Egyptian there. But I still like I'm an there's Egyptian blood in my body. Like both my parents are Egyptian.
Yeah.
And I grew up speaking Arabic, and I still speak Arabic fluently.
Is your Arabic good?
Yeah, my Arabic is great. Fluent.
Okay.
I guess if you're from Egypt, you might catch a little bit of like rust. You know what I mean? Just notice it. But anyone that I've spoken to over there was like, man, for a dude who lives as a Canadian guy, like we thought your Arabic was gonna be brutal before we met you, and then, so
how they think your Arabic would be, that's how my Arabic is.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So in Sudan, they're kind of like, you really lost that Arabic, huh?
Yeah.
It's not compliments.
My mom stayed on us with that. Like she made sure that if we were in the house, we were always speaking to her in Arabic. We never spoke to her in English. My brother and I would speak English to each other, and until now we'll speak Arabic to each other from time to time. But like our default is English.
Yeah.
My mom default is Arabic, right? And kudos, man, because of that, I was able to hold on to a piece of my roots that I'll never forget it. You know what I mean? And it'll be with me for the rest of my life. So
yeah, I'm pretty positive that my kids are not going to know Arabic.
No?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
do you want
it
them
depends.
to?
It depends on I value being bilingual. I don't value the knowledge of the language of Arabic.
Arabic?
You know? I'm not like, oh, this will make you higher in humanity or something like that, right? I just value knowing. I honestly I want my kids to fucking know Mandarin. I want to give them a leg up, bro. English and Mandarin, that's the way to go, man.
Yeah.
That's the way to go at
I
this
mean,
point, man.
Yeah, you're right, man. But I think, again, this is obviously changes from person to person. But I think if you're, like for me, again, I went through a big part of my life trying to, you're new to Canada, so you try to
Suppress that. You go
Yeah,
all English.
Yeah, and you try to be like all the kids around you. It's only when you get older that you start to notice that the difference is like beautiful and like amazing, and it makes you who you are. But when I was younger, I was like, I'd see these guys and these white guys or these black guys or these Asian guys. Like I'd just see like someone who was kind of like the same as the majority of the people. I'm like, oh, I want to be like that, So then you listen to hip hop. Okay, I'm gonna listen to hip hop. Or you listen to rock, I'm going to listen to rock,
Exactly, man.
So
I remember I used to, if I needed to speak English, if I need to speak Arabic and I was around my white friends or something, I would separate myself from them.
Oh, you'd have to relocate.
I would, if I was taking a phone call, I would go take it in a different room.
Yeah.
So I can speak Arabic low key. That's how I just wanted things so badly to be the same between us.
Of course.
I didn't want to at all acknowledge or be like, culturally we're different. No, we're all the same. We're all the same, right?
Yeah,
I'm
you're
Canadian
embarrassed
too.
when your parents
I'm
come
embarrassed,
around.
Yeah. I'm a guy, my dad, every Sudanese person and I'm still ashamed of this till this day, but every Sudanese person, man in London, Ontario, where I grew up, drove a cab. And I still remember asking my dad to drop me off like don't go into the school parking lot,
No,
Yeah.
drop me off down the street.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was so played out for your dad to be a cab
Yeah.
driver. Of course your dad's a cab driver.
What else
So
would
I
he be?
would just be like, put me down the street or something and just walk up and I would make up
Would he
fake
drop
stories.
you off? Would he drop you off in the cab?
Yeah.
So it was the
he
cab.
exclusively drove the cab. For a lot of time, we didn't have another car but the cab.
It was the cab.
There was 6 kids. It was a family of 8. You know what I mean? In like a 4-bedroom house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The government subsidized. But still, so like just trying my best to be like all I wanted. And the inception of this whole podcast was pretty much after leaving corporate and starting comedy and beginning. All of my comedy, for the most part, is rooting up who I really am culturally.
Yeah.
And like actually stepping away from this whole notion of like all these decades that I was trying to be
To just
as
suppress it.
Canadian as
Oh,
possible.
man,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. It's like even right now, like someone like myself who's, like I said, somewhere in between all these groups. That is like my identity and like your identity, even though that the dude with the rusty Arabic,
You're that white Sudanese black
you're like,
kid.
that's just who I
Yeah,
am,
exactly.
man. Like I can't,
You're
so,
that Venn diagram of shit now, right?
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
becomes our identity. That's fine, right?
100%, man. I love it. I used to, man, my mom used to pull up and to the school and she'd be blasting Arabic music like Kulthum or Abd al-Halim Hafiz. And she'd be blasting it so loud and like really singing it. My mom really gets into it. She'll pull up to the school. The second that door opens, the music is blaring.
That's hilarious you say that because when my mom picks me up,
Yeah.
Quran is blasted. Okay, I'm talking about Sudais. Okay, bro, that's like my household was so religious.
Yeah.
We would be talking about. So even if you go to my home right now in London, Ontario, there's at least one bedroom in the house that has an old style stereo that's playing Quran 24 hours. Okay, my mom, like anytime she gets a bad vibe in her room, she's like, "Oh, don't stay out of that room," and she'll like keep like a. She'll put a
Quran?
stereo in there to play Quran for like 24 hours. And, like, cleanse the room.
Hey, man, dude, I totally believe in that stuff, man. My mom does that stuff, and maybe it's because I grew up on it, but dude, miracles have happened because of just things like this, where you're like, I didn't think this would even happen at all, and then it kind of did, and then just things like turned. You're like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like.
unexplainable
coincidences.
things.
Yeah, and then she blesses the house and plays a little bit of Quran and prays a little bit, and then you come into the house and you feel different.
I know, yeah, I
You're like,
know.
this is a nice feeling.
I know, and it's like, you know that a lot of it is attributed to like subjective feeling of being home, and like being close to family and all that. But sometimes there's like something to it that it's like. I have an engineering logical mind, and it just sometimes things happen that just kind of breaks it. Like I just don't know how this can coincidentally be.
Breaks what?
Like I can't make sense of it logically. And it's
of like somebody blessing a space,
or just an event taking place, or seeing something, just being like logically for that to be I mean, it can be anything is a coincidence, right? But just like.
I think it's
because I told you that pendulum swung for a while, so I completely let go of any notion of like God or like I was like no, all that only logic. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then there's so many things, and now once it starts to like level out again, the pendulum, you're like, okay, there's a lot of stuff here that I can't explain.
Totally,
there's a lot of vibes that I'm picking up on that I can't explain.
It's like, dude, what is even a vibe? Like you're just thinking about like, yo, I'm getting weird vibes. When no one's saying anything, but you're still getting a weird vibe, that's a thing, like an energy, you know?
Yeah, it's like if like, how often, dude, I used to be in the military, okay? And I remember in basic training, we had a sergeant who's very high level, okay? We used to always ask this guy how many people he's killed, okay?
Did he give you guys a number?
No, he wasn't like that. He wasn't like 7.
He's got it tatted on his chest.
Yeah, exactly. Just like this says, 7 boys.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No. He was straight cutthroat guy, right?
Yeah.
But I remember he did a training session one time about approaching the enemy low-key approach of the enemy. I forget what the word is. Like slowly coming up on an enemy. There's a word for it.
Right.
But either way, he's like, I can't explain this for whatever metaphysical purposes there are. I don't want to get into it. But the point is this. When you are approaching an enemy from a distance, do not look at them. Do not look at their back. You're aiming at something surround them because people know when they're being watched.
Oh,
do not look at them. Don't look at their back. Pick a mark that's near them, but not them. I was like, that's some next level shit. Because how many times have like, dude, how many times have you just been in your car, just like people watching, waiting for someone?
Yeah, chasing an enemy?
Yeah, right? How many times have you been chasing someone for vengeance?
Welcome to another episode of Chasing the Enemy.
Yeah.
I'm your host.
How many times have you been waiting in your car and just people watching? And then like you're looking at someone and they turn their head a full 270 degrees and start looking right where you are. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How did they don't see you right away?
They feel it, man.
They took a full turn and looked right around where you are. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff that brings me back from like this pure like atheism, like only logic. That's the kind of thing where like, okay, I don't know what's going on there, but that's some of the unknown that like lets me still have an open mind when I hear spiritual things. And
I think ultimately like too is just, you know, most religions out there just kind of I don't know much about a lot of the other religions, but like for instance Islam, it just
because Islam is number one, obviously.
Islam's number one. Yo, Muslim plug right here. Muslim plug number one. Just like
I was gonna say, shout out to Sayyidina Muhammad.
Yo. Astaghfirullah, brother. We're going to hell.
Yeah, we're going to hell. Okay.
No, but like it, you know, I think it preaches just being at peace with whatever situation you're faced with. And that's the reality of it. And it doesn't say that everything's going to be perfect. And it doesn't say that everything's going to be bad. It just says whatever sandwich you're given, you eat it. And it might be good and it might be bad. But don't worry, it's not going to be the last one. So you keep going. You just, you know, but just, you like, you know, it comes from Salam. Like, just be at peace with whatever it is that's happening. And obviously, it's life. So, like, a lot of bad things happen. But you
Yeah.
also have to recognize like what good that you have in it. But all these people also come out like these life coaches and Tony Robbins or whatever will come out and they'll just be like, you're just really like, project and like put it out there and like every night before you go to sleep, write 10 things that you're grateful for and like all these things. And you're like, yo, man, open that book that's been around for like a million years and read it. It's saying exactly what you're saying. But then, obviously people don't listen to that and they listen to like, whatever's being said in the media, like it's preaching violence against women and just hate. And you're like, man, just if you don't believe it, that's cool. You don't like chocolate. I like chocolate. So just keep walking on.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
the point is that you gotta let people coexist.
Yeah, man,
You gotta be like, yo,
Yeah.
you found something that made you happy? Sick. Do you. Walk
Exactly.
away. You know what
That's
I mean?
why I hate going down to like Dundas Square now.
Yeah.
And there's like 4 or 5 different religious groups. Everybody's got a mic and a little
There's always so much anger.
a little amp. He's
Yeah.
like, in this chapter of this book, your God is saying that, and you're like, dude, why are you fighting the guy over there? Just let him be, man.
Yeah, exactly. People think that's religion. That's just bipolar people just in Dundas Square.
Dude,
you
it
know
should
what
be
I
a
mean?
law, man. Those guys should have their mics stripped away from them. They should be like brushed off of that.
Yeah, it seems-
anybody coming to my door to try to convert me, anybody trying to give me a pamphlet on the bus.
Yes,
Anybody,
that always screams mental health issue. Does it not?
Dude, the worst.
Religion and mental health
People-
somehow intertwine,
And they're always
they
smiling at
represent,
you.
and they always become religion.
Yeah,
They
man, it's
never,
weird.
when mental health issues and religion combine, it's never an issue of mental health. It's always an issue of religion. You know what I mean?
They're smiling at you with like an empty smile, kind of like the same smile they have in that movie Get Out, like where they're just like, hey, so are you feeling depressed? You don't have to live depressed forever. The Lord is with you.
You're like,
Just
are you
take
all
this-"
there?
Yeah, and you're like, dude, I'm standing at my door in my boxers eating like a grilled cheese sandwich. And you're like, I was like, do you think I'm in the state of changing my life at this moment? Like,
Yeah.
you didn't time this out very well. And second of all, like, why are you here?
Right?
If your religion was like the ultimate super truth, why are you knocking at my door or giving me that pamphlet on the subway,
Yeah.
It's like, I don't
To
understand.
save
it, man.
your soul.
Yeah.
It is your soul that we would like to save from damnation.
Yeah. Dude, I had a woman tell me, this is years ago, she asked me on the bus, excuse me,
Get a little closer just to the mic.
a little closer, okay.
Yeah.
This woman on the bus asked me, she goes, I don't know, something came up, a conversation, it came up that I was Muslim, right? And she goes, oh, you are? And then she's like, okay. And then she like sat in silence and I was like, okay. And then, just as I'm about to get off, she takes out like a flyer. She's like, by the way, I know you're Muslim, but you should really like take a look at this. And I was like, nah, I don't want it. And she's like, but just give it a read. There's no investment. And I was like, I'm okay. And she's like, she was trying. So I'm like, are you getting
It's a Jehovah's Witness, right?
I don't know what it was. I don't think she actually was. She might have been from like some other like church or something. But
Yeah.
I'm like, are you getting commission off of this of how many people you convert per day? Like,
Yeah, right?
Converted 5 goes home to a nice check.
Jehovah's Witnesses, they have to solicit you.
They do. That's
Yeah,
part of the
yeah.
religion. I get that, but that's also, I mean, I guess to each his own. I don't
I'd rather
like.
be a Muslim. A Jehovah's Witness, I feel like that's kind of like, you're just kind of, Jehovah's Witnesses are just like, you're just a snitch, right? The whole religion is a group of snitches. I'm a witness.
Buddy,
Yo, it's like, don't talk, bro. Yo, I'm Jehovah. I witnessed that shit, bro.
I don't.
I've
There's.
seen it all.
Do you know what like there's actual like rules to it? I don't know what the rules. I know that someone told me once that they have like specific like spots in heaven, like limited spots. Like they believe that not everyone is gonna go to heaven. So it's like the highest. of the
Patrick,
high.
do you know the
Patrick looks like he knows something about this.
Chris Robinson came up hardcore Jehovah, I think.
Well, yeah, he was. Yeah.
Hardcore
Oh,
Jehovah.
yeah. Dude, did I ever tell you how Chris Robinson and I met?
That's another Toronto comic. Shout out to Chris Robinson.
Buddy, hilarious dude. It was at a Blockbuster. That's how long ago it was. We met at a Blockbuster.
So yeah, were you both grabbed Men in Black 2 at the same time?
And like a love song came on.
exactly, right? Yeah. Then
Hold
you were
on,
playing soccer.
Patrick's gonna fill us in on what a Jehovah's Witness is.
So Jehovah's Witnesses believe there's 144,000 spaces in heaven. So not even all Jehovah's Witnesses not even all good Jehovah's Witnesses, according to them, get to go to heaven.
Where do the rest go? Hell?
Yeah, you get raptured to hell.
What?
Or actually, no, sorry. The 144,000 get raptured to heaven. Everybody else, basically, now the earth becomes hell.
But is there any sort of torture happening on Earth, or?
Yeah, it basically, not like demons or anything, but like the good people get raptured, so therefore Earth now falls apart.
Just mildly inconvenient. There's just longer lineups than usual at the bank.
Right?
Yo, come on!
Yeah, fuck.
You're stubbing your toe at every corner.
Right? This new Earth fucking sucks just a little bit more.
So what makes a Jehovah's Witness like the best Jehovah's Witness?
I don't know. It's so long, but it's basically
is it? Okay.
like, you know, you never celebrated your birthday. You never
smiled.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of not fun rules.
Yeah. I know the celebrations. They're not about that life. They're not about the birthdays or any of that stuff. New Year's Eve, Halloween.
You can't basically have celebrations that aren't celebrations of Jesus's works on earth, or like the general religious celebrations. So like birthdays are super narcissistic. They think it's like you're also engaging in like a pagan celebration as well. So like a lot of things like birthdays and stuff like that are like just completely actually outside of even like real Judaism and Christianity and stuff like that. So,
got it.
But they just take it more seriously and
They
sort of
consider it a sin.
Yeah, and they also take basically anything that's sort of not included in their scriptures. They don't just say like, well, we don't have a ruling on this. Anything that wasn't in there, they assume automatically super evil, permanent, like.
So it wasn't mentioned for a reason. There was a reason why it wasn't mentioned. Is what?
Well,
they
no,
believe.
they're more like jumping to the conclusions of like, if they didn't bother to include it, then we'll just assume
that it's bad.
It's the worst thing in the world. So like, lots of parts of technology they actually reject as well.
Damn.
So they're very similar to like. What do you call them? The people who do old-fashioned type stuff.
Yeah, we actually went Mennonites and Amish.
Yes,
bro.
Amish and Mennonites. Yeah.
I recently talked to someone I had on about he works with Mennonites. We got into like debate what the difference between Amish and Mennonites. The biggest difference, Amish are like all the way they don't fuck with technology, and Mennonites kind of fuck with technology. So the example they gave is Amish, they gotta go with like horse and buggy. And Mennonites can get cars, but only base models.
Wait, what? No way. Are you serious?
It was written in there. They can't. They got to get the lowest trim.
So they can't get like. So the window
power
has
windows,
to be a
yeah,
roll
they can't
up.
get power windows.
Oh, do they still have roll up windows?
Yeah, some of. I mean, I'm not 100% sure about all new cars, but as of like
a Yaris,
2017,
you'd have to get like a Yaris or something.
One of them is like a complete rejection of the modern world, and then one of them is sort of like, don't indulge yourself or enjoy luxuries. Like life is supposed to be very pious, so you can have the cars, but it has to be like the car that only serves a need.
Yeah.
Whereas Amish are like printing presses, and everything after that is pure evil. Like any kind of technology is from the devil.
Amazing.
Amish is like no internet, and Mennonites are like only wired connections, no Wi-Fi.
And you have to be doing homework.
Only dial up. Everybody hang up the phone. No high speed. All right.
Exactly. But you gotta send emails.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta send emails.
Yeah, they allow emails.
Yo, so what happened to Blockbuster?
Oh man, so I wanted to do stand up, and I was going to Yuck Yucks every Tuesday to watch open mics, and I was kind of considering. I was working at the bank at the time, at this bank, and I hated the job, but I was like,
I didn't know you worked at a bank.
Buddy, I worked everything, man. I used to work at a bank. I used to work I used to work in like advertising as an editor, like commercial editor. I've done a lot.
Two examples.
Yeah, we can go way back. I don't think.
I love that you're like, I've done a lot, bro.
Buddy, I've done so much, but yeah. So I was watching these amateur nights, and before the amateur show, there's like the Humber College show, where all the people in that program go up and they perform. and Chris was one of them, Chris Robinson.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that guy, he had like the set of the night.
Yeah.
Extremely hilarious dude. And I was like, wow, man, that guy's like definitely like, I was looking at him like, man, that guy's really made it, you know? Like he's at Yuck Yucks. To me, I was thinking Yuck Yucks was like, you know, the mecca. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm like, he's on stage at Yuck Yucks.
Yeah.
He's killing it like that, man. That guy's a star, you know?
Yeah.
And then literally like a day or two later, I was at a Blockbuster. It used to be right by Bloor and Dufferin there, and I went in, and I'm looking at movies, and then I look at the counter, and Chris Robinson is boxing DVDs.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wait, isn't that like superstar that I saw at Yucks the other day?
Yeah, your bubble burst up.
And I was like, nah, man, this is not superstar. This guy's a regular dude, man. He's got DVDs.
He's like, yo,
boxing.
rewind that shit.
Yeah.
Yo, you better rewind that shit.
Yeah, man. And then I was like, yo, man, are you a comic? And he was like, yeah. And he was like proud of himself. And I was like, yeah, man, hey, man. I was like, my name's Moe. And I was like, I'm thinking about doing this. And he was so like super helpful and supportive. He's like, yo, man, let's add me on Facebook, you know, whatever. And then that's what it was. What I did want to mention, though, earlier, because before I forget, about celebrations of holidays and all that.
Yeah.
When we first moved to Canada.
What year was that, by the way?
This is 96.
Okay.
And we didn't have much money.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any friends here. And we no family here. We
Yep.
literally just showed up at the airport
The immigrant story, bro.
and asked people like, hey, so where do people go from here? And then people were like, you can go anywhere. You can go.
you can go Sudbury, you can go Hamilton.
You can go any, you know? And then, but we went to this hotel in Scarborough. It was the Travelodge, but now it's like the Radisson. It doesn't even matter. I don't know why I'm plugging these. Like, you know, just like
Yo, shout out to Motel 6. Yeah.
Motel 6, no. But yeah, it was the Travelodge, and I remember we just went there, and we went up to the room, and it was just so weird looking out the window, and it was just on a highway, and I was like, Canada. This is Canada, you know? So we ended up, my dad started making calls back home because it's like, yo, man, we need to find out who lives in this place and who can like kind of help guide us, really.
Yeah, you need to
You know?
get in touch with an Egyptian like community.
Because money's draining fast.
Yeah.
Because you're at a hotel.
Savings, yeah.
Yeah, so you're paying what, $100 a night? I
Yeah.
mean, back then it was, but it's equivalent to paying like, you know, $150, $200 a night now, right?
Exactly.
So it was 100, I think, back then or something like that. And yeah, so my dad found a friend back home who knew someone who knew someone who knew another person that lived in Canada. And it was this guy named George, this Egyptian guy named George.
Yeah.
We called him Ammo George.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So Ammo George comes, and actually, no, that guy was George. Ammo George was the next George that came through, but doesn't. I'm giving way too much. I'm telling the story like someone who's got like ADHD right now. I'm like, not that guy, but that. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that. So this guy hooks us up. He I guess, I don't know, they looked through like the newspapers and stuff, and they found an ad for a house to share a house with this old Jewish woman named Frances in Scarborough. So then we packed up our stuff and went to Frances's house, and Frances had this dog, and I don't remember what the dog's name was, but this dog was like I want to say it was a pit bull. And this dog was big, and you know, Egyptians, like, dogs are on the street. I mean, some people have dogs, but you know, it's like
for the most part, yeah,
it's like raccoons.
Exactly.
You know, like, why do you
Yeah.
have a raccoon in your house?
Possibly rabid. They're usually wild. Yeah.
Yeah. And this dog looked like he's been lifting.
Yeah,
Like,
pit bull, man.
Yeah, he's got pecs. He's got
3% body fat.
yeah, man.
P90X.
Yeah, he's got
shredded.
his tattooed sleeves, neck tats. He's just like,
Yeah, right.
he's done some time.
Yeah.
So we get to her house, and Frances was, you know, she was welcoming, she was nice, but at the same time, she was so careful about this dog. Like at night, she would put the dog in her crate, and then during the day, she would take the dog out. But the thing is, we came, and then it was, I think we came here in October of 96. So shortly after, it became winter, and it was so cold.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, this lady would turn off the heat. And we would just, you know, Egyptians in Canada
Yeah.
for the first time. So we take the blankets. We're doubling, tripling
Yeah.
up on blankets.
It was probably 25 degrees Celsius, and you guys were like, "Put the heat up."
No,
what the
dude,
fuck?
the heat was off. We're talking about now. We're in November, December. The heat is
like
off,
literally off.
literally off, right? And so we're cold and it's freezing. I'm sharing a bed with my brother. You know, so we had a room. My parents had a room, and then Frances had her own room, right?
Yeah.
And we're all sharing the house. And the next day, my dad wakes up because it happened a couple of nights, and we just thought that's how it was.
Yeah.
My dad goes, "Hey Francis, what is happening with the temperature? It's cold, you know?" And then she goes, "Oh, like I turn the heat off at night because my dog overheats and gets really hot." And he's just like, my dad's like, "Your dog? Excuse me, your dog? I am human. This is dog, you know? Like, I am cold. I don't care for dog." Like, he couldn't fathom, like, this lady worrying about her dog.
That's the most clashing of
Oh, my
cultures. That's
God.
hilarious. That's some first world shit. That's hitting you right in the face. You
Yeah,
know?
man. And then, you know, eventually.
That's so fucking funny.
Oh, man. Eventually, Francis, you know, Halloween, before that, actually, it was October, and Halloween was just around the corner. And she goes and asks my mom, she goes, "So, is Mohammed and Ahmed are they gonna go trick-or-treating?" Mom's like, "Sorry?" She's like, "Trick-or-treating, like for Halloween." And my mom's like, "I don't know what," you know? And she's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
she doesn't understand what it
Yeah.
is. She goes, "Oh, Halloween, so it's a holiday where kids dress up and they go door to door and they knock, and then people give them candy." And my mom took it so personal. She's like, "My son, he never go to stranger house for candy. He's not homeless.
Yeah.
He want
Pride.
candy, he ask his mother. I give him the candy, not the stranger." And she was like so serious about it. And Frances like, "Dude, what?" And Frances had a Halloween costume that she bought me because I was in grade 3 at the time, right? So she's like, "This kid doesn't even know what Halloween is. Like, I'm about to blow his mind." So she brings me a pumpkin. I was supposed to be a pumpkin. And eventually she convinced my mom. And my mom came with and went trick-or-treating. I didn't know any English. Like, kids would, you know how they knock on doors, like, trick-or-treat.
Trick-or-treat.
And I didn't know what they were saying.
You were like, huh?
So I was just mimicking what they're saying. I was like, treat,
Yeah.
eat, right? And then they just put candy. And then some of them would just be like, trick. And I was like, treat, eat. I was like, "I don't know what you're saying, bro. Just put candy in my bag."
Dude, that's so funny that you say that because I grew up in a neighborhood. My mom, I told you, so religious.
Yeah.
First of all, she's like haram right away.
What,
You're not-
Halloween?
Yeah, you're not dressing up as devils.
No.
And going. So me and my brother, we would always have to like just sneak out of the house for 20 minutes. You know,
Yeah.
we just needed 8 to 8:20. And we just run because we lived in like a government subsidized neighborhood that was all refugees, right?
Right.
And I have a whole bit about this, but refugees don't give out Kit Kats on Halloween. You ever see a refugee neighborhood, low income government subsidized neighborhood on Halloween? It looks like a power outage. Everyone turns the light off and stays away from doors
Yeah.
and windows, okay? Literally. So you have to go to white neighborhoods to get.
Yeah, of course.
Dude, I remember one time, same idea. We came back from like a Sudanese function, and it was Halloween night. That's how they like put us all. They're like, "We will not allow the kids to trick or treat. We'll bring together. We will have dinner, and they'll together. You know,
we'll give them
we don't have
treats
to be
there."
at the house, so the white people are gonna be knocking at the house all night.
Yeah.
We'll just go to the Sudanese place.
Yeah.
So I remember we came back at 9:30. That's Halloween's pretty much wrapped up. It's been night for 2 hours. There's really no one in the streets.
Yeah.
But we didn't get candy. So me and my brother, we as a family's walking from the car to the house, we just run immediately to the adjacent white neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we run to the first door.
Yeah.
And we take our shirts and we flip them inside out over our heads. Like that.
What are you guys supposed to be?
I don't know. Our stomachs are just showing. Guy, we knock on the door. This white lady opens up and she looks at us. She goes, "No costume, no candy." And she shuts the door on us.
No.
My word, bro.
No.
Yeah. Imagine.
That's so mean.
Right? We're
That lady
literally-
was racist.
The fact that we're
racist.
doing that,
Yeah.
kids are not saving up for their costumes. This how ignorant can you be?
Yeah.
Right? It's the parents. Like the fact that we don't have costumes is a function of the parents.
Yeah,
Like,
but she's
I'm not saying the
she's
parents
not
are wrong.
thinking of it
yeah,
like that.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. She probably just saw it as like, okay, so 2 black kids came to my house at 9:30.
But we were young. We were so young. I don't.
Dude, racism, they don't care, man.
I don't think. Well, she's immediately adjacent. It was almost. Yeah, exactly. I don't think it was the fact that we were black. It was just the fact that look, you can't come here 30 minutes after pretty much the rounds are done.
Yeah.
And not have
A costume.
But still, it's like. What
But
are
you think,
doing?
but if it was
We're kids?
you're telling me in that
I'm not.
same.
I don't want to like
Imagine
defend her.
in that same situation,
Yeah.
okay? But picture instead of you guys, a cute little white girl, blonde hair, blue eyes. She's really cute, and she has a shirt over her head. Is she gonna
Oh,
say the
yeah,
same? Or she'd be like, "Aw, sweetie."
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Right?
Hell yeah, bro.
So it's like, but
Shit, I was a fucking victim of racism. I
buddy,
didn't
that's
even realize it.
racism, man. That's probably in the '90s, right? That was
This was early 2000s.
early 2000s.
02,
Right,
03.
there you go.
Yeah, she
Right?
said, I think she might have said you 9/11 monkeys too. I can't
That's the
recall.
part that you're forgetting. Yeah.
It's all coming back together.
You're like, there was monkeys in 9/11.
she had a KKK outfit. Now that
She had a flag with like
yeah.
a weird X on it. I didn't know what it was really.
she was watching American History X and she was talking about how the beginning was great.
Oh my god.
It's only clicking now.
Yeah. You just the podcast ends with you crying.
Yeah,
I can't. Buddy. Yeah. it
We're
was-
just that's all this is. We just like unravel past trauma. That's what the immigrant section
Oh,
really
buddy.
is.
Well, I'll tell you something. I remember when.
Have you ever experienced real racism?
Yeah, man. Of
Yeah?
course, dude. I'm telling you, I came to Canada with almost zero English.
Yeah.
Like we learned English in
Yes, no. Yes, no.
Yeah, yes, no, car, bus, boy, girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just very basic
yeah.
words, not enough to get you around. And because of that, and it was in the '90s, and bullying was just kind of overlooked, and racism, was overlooked. So people would, it would happen, but teachers would just kind of look at you, and because you were a person of color, it was like, whatever, brush it off. But if you did anything to a white kid, it was game over, And I remember every recess, there was this group of girls that were older than me, and they were bigger than me, body-wise, their strength-wise. They were about two years. I was in grade 3, they were in grade 5, and I was outnumbered and outpowered by these girls, and every day they would say things, and I wasn't understanding what they were saying, but I could tell it was kind of ill-intended, like the tone.
Like
and
hateful.
Hateful, Winter came around, they would wait until recess, and then they would take snow and shove snow down the back of my jacket. And my jacket was already like some cheap thing that I got from like a...
It was 9 colors.
Yeah. It was actually a girl's jacket, man. It was a green girl's jacket with like hearts on the back.
Okay.
And yeah, we got it from a yard sale,
Yeah.
garage sale, and it was just like, so they would just bully me, and every day they would do that, push me to the ground, kick snow in my face, do all these things, and then one day I snapped. So one day I'm walking around at recess, and I would just keep saying stop, because I knew how to say stop. Stop it, please stop. And they would keep doing that, and then one day I snapped. I turned around and I swung, and I just happened to connect with this one girl in the throat. Like I punched her in the throat. Oh man,
Bro.
She dropped, and she was like, and I was like, oh my god, and I ran. I just ran.
Luckily, there was no Jehovah's Witnesses.
Otherwise, they would have witnessed everything.
Chris Robinson from a distance.
Behind a fence.
Yeah, right.
But so I still remember her name. It was Jessica, because there was 2 sisters, Jessica and Crystal, and their dad was a tow truck driver.
Okay.
And he was one of those guys that was just huge, tattoos, like Hell's Angels looking dude.
Yeah.
Like he was a very big, very intimidating looking guy.
Yeah.
And so I run away. I continue on with recess, just being, doing my own thing. And bell goes off. We're single file going into the school. And for me to get to my class, we have to walk by the office.
Yeah.
So we're walking by the office. And Jessica, you know how in the office they give you like ice for everything?
No matter.
Jessica's sitting on the bench. I'll never forget this.
Ice
and
on
she's
the
got
throat?
ice on the throat. So I'm like, I don't know what you're doing right now, but it's not working.
You
But I was
gotta
like,
ice
whatever.
the throat, honey. You
Yeah.
gotta ice the throat.
So then I look, next to her, and her dad's there.
Yeah.
And she sees me, and she's like, Daddy, that's him right there. That's
Yeah.
him. And her dad grabs me out of line by my jacket, by my collar, grabs me, pins me up against the wall, like off the ground.
And you're 8.
I'm 8. This is in front of the school office.
Okay.
2 secretaries sitting in that office, just typing away, seeing the whole thing go down. No reaction. No, hey, grown man, let go of that little child.
Yeah.
They were just, and he was just like, did you hit my daughter? And I was like, I don't. He was, I was like, I don't know what to,
You're probably crying.
I wasn't crying, but I was shaken. I was very shaken by it. And I was like, I don't know. And I was panicking. And he was like, and I remember him saying something along the lines of like, oh, you ever punch my daughter? I'll find your dad and I'll punch him, Yeah. And then he just let me go and I ran to class. And in a way, I was very embarrassed and I didn't tell anybody about it. And I went home and never mentioned it to anybody. But it took years for me to I was having a conversation with a friend and then it just came up. And I was like, oh my God, that I got pretty much physically harassed or assaulted.
Oh, you get arrested for that.
You get arrested for that. But 1997, buddy, I bet these secretaries are just probably well, he should learn in this country things don't work like they do back home, do they now? Right?
Yeah,
and
right.
just kind of oh my God, okay.
Martha.
Right? So things like
that pisses me off.
Dude,
You know what I mean?
that's straight up racism there, right?
That pisses me off.
So
the
much,
idea
man. So much
that
racism.
that can go unseen.
Yeah. It's still, I don't know, man. I feel like this is turning real. This is turning into a real
That's the whole point about this, man.
I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, if I was come out here with the jokes.
That's the whole subtitle of my podcast is Unraveling Trauma Since 2018.
Oh, buddy. I mean, I'm not a traumatized person, but that's something a traumatized person would say. I'm not too traumatized.
But listen to this. I was lucky I didn't come by too much racism. But now that you have pretty much...
You didn't come by racism?
No, but listen to this.
Oh, sorry,
now
okay.
that you have kind of given me a different interpretation of my memory, I'm thinking, man, was I a victim of racism and I was just too maybe naive to see it?
Well, it doesn't sound like you saw yourself as just a regular kid amongst all the other kids, which is normal for a kid to feel. And that's how all kids are supposed to feel. But, with racism, it's things happen and you don't tie it to racism as a kid. You don't go, oh, that's racist. You just go, oh, that's just a mean person or an angry man or an angry woman. But you don't catch...
Bro, I felt the most racism
Yeah.
within the Arab community.
What do you mean?
Within the Arab community.
How?
The racism within Arabs.
Against each other?
Well, against darker Arabs. Because, the shade stuff, it goes across. It's within North Sudan is racist to South Sudan.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So that, extrapolate that to the world. That shade shit exists everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just a little bit of I remember going to Sunday school, Arabic school, religion school, and just every time we got into issues, we would always we were always painted as the instigators just by default, because there's 80% of the kids are Palestinian, or 70% of the kids are
because you were
Palestinian.
dark.
20% of the kids are Lebanese, and there's a couple
great.
Sudani kids. And if one of them is involved in the thing, they're gonna assume it's them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, because I was so deep in the Arab community.
Yeah.
Most of my social experiences were happening within there.
Oh,
the
man.
white stuff was limited to just school.
Yeah.
And because my school, we had the school had the government subsidized neighborhood right next to it, so we had a lot of kids in a fucked up socioeconomic state.
Yeah.
So I wasn't the only one.
Oh, that's good.
So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
exactly. So in that sense, we had half the school was broke and half the school was lower middle class.
Wow.
So I didn't grow up around any rich. I grew up around a couple rich people they were doing the exact same thing I was from the other side of the spectrum. They were pretending to be normal.
Oh.
They were so rich, they were always pretending to be normal too. They
Yeah.
would get dropped off from a distance because their dad was driving an S-Class
Yeah.
Mercedes. You know what I mean? The same thing, but from the other side.
Dad,
you know?
I told you, buy a shit box. Come
Exactly.
on,
It's kids. We just, because the whole game, the whole way you kill it as a kid is to just be the most bandwagoner, right?
Well, that's what you think.
Uniqueness, unique, man. Nobody's like, yo, no one's like looking at that unique 11-year-old, right? No,
but-
you got to play the game. You got to be gaming the game that we're playing. We're playing
true.
Call of Duty, we're playing Call of Duty. We're playing this game at recess.
Yeah.
No one's like, what about him? He's painting in the corner. Let's see what he's doing. No one gives a fuck.
But you know what, man? That's what you think as a kid. But like now that I'm a teacher and I see who the cool kid is and who everybody's trying to be like.
By the way, that's the first time you have said that you're a teacher on the podcast.
Oh, really? Oh, my bad. Okay, was I supposed to?
No,
Okay, cool.
not even. But the fact that you spoke, people are like, "You're a teacher. What the fuck?"
Yeah.
But
yeah. Teach elementary school. I'm new at it. I don't say I don't talk about it too much, but now that I'm a teacher, I get to see who the cool kid is, and who, you know what I mean, who the kids that people really look up to and like just idolize. And it's always the kid that doesn't care and doesn't conform to the games, doesn't conform to the rules, doesn't really, they'll play games at recess and stuff, but they always have their own agenda as well. And kids, I remember a couple of years ago, we had this, I was doing a placement at this school, and this kid was just like, man, I can't say his name, but he just didn't care for any rules. And he was just so bad, like to the point that his shoelaces were always untied. And you're like, yo, man, tie your shoelaces, right? And he'd be like, yeah, whatever. And you're like,
he's
what?
like, fuck the system, bitch.
And he would trip
like,
and he
oh
would
my
fall.
God.
And I would just be like, hey, man, you hurt yourself. He's like, I'm not hurt. I don't care. And I was like,
what the hell?
I was like, okay, well, yeah, man, do your thing, you know?
Do you always think of like their home circumstances?
Yeah, 100% of the time.
Yeah?
100%. Well,
As a teacher, you gotta, like, it all starts there, right?
as a kid, they bring their own baggage to the class.
Yeah.
A lot of teachers think that, a student, they're here to learn and I will teach. But a lot of teachers, that's a lot of bad teachers. The good teachers try to figure out who you are and where you're coming from and how can I meet you halfway. How can I guide you versus tell you like, okay, here's a math worksheet, do this, get it done. You got 15 minutes, go. Like, that's not how you teach someone, You go, what do you know about this? Like, what is this? So what can you tell me about it, okay? And then now, the way the education is that you find out, I think we talked about this last time I was here, but like, you take a kid who doesn't know something, like for instance, you're doing addition, and you go 2 + 2, and this kid writes 6, right? So back in the day, you were like, no, that's wrong, because 2 and 2 is 4, right? But it's like, now you can't, you can't tell a kid he's wrong. It's traumatizing. It's traumatic. You can't just and in a way it is because you're not always aware of your.
So you agree with this general?
I do, man.
Yeah, okay.
I do. I used to in the beginning. I was like, man, that's soft.
Kids are weak now.
Yeah. But in some ways, like there is overkill with like those rules. But in terms of teaching a kid, you don't ever want to like tell a kid he's wrong right away because you want to encourage him to do something because you're trying to teach this kid how to act. You know what I mean? And you go, I'm teaching you how to do this, okay? And then he goes, okay. And then you go, okay, so here, 2 + 2. Then he goes, 6. And you're like, wrong. How do you not know this? That right there is like
That's my whole childhood right there.
But dude, that's my childhood too, man.
That is my whole
we all
childhood
grew up
embodied
like
in
this.
one.
But what you're supposed to do is be like, okay, so you got 6? And you go, yeah. And I go, okay, well, how? How did you get to 6? Just show me. Just explain to me in your words. Don't even write it down. Tell me right now how you got 6. I'm not mad. You're not in trouble. I'm just curious, And then once he gives you the answer, that's when you take out the crowbar and you're like, wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
you don't
right.
do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No, but I always like going when something gets real serious. I like always joking and just having a little sub story. But you're supposed to just be like, okay, so you got to 6, and he'll be like, because 2 + 2, and you're like, well, that's 3. That's your problem right there, right? So you show them versus like force something on them. So.
And so you always have to meet them halfway like that.
Well, you try. I mean, every kid, dude, you have a class with 30 or 40 kids. Picture that.
I remember when I was in 5th grade, I had a teacher, Mr. fucking Glavak. It's crazy that I still remember some of these early teachers' names. I had this teacher. I remember on Mondays, he would make us write just a 1-page journal entry of what we did on the weekend. And I would always lie obscenely. I would always say, this weekend, me and my family went to Paris, and I did this. And I always remembered that I was so nervous when I handed it in that I was going to get publicly called out. Like, I couldn't help not lie. It was weird because I was like, because we were struggling financially.
Yeah.
But I was almost like, in denial of it. Like this was like my little escapism.
Yeah.
It's this little lying thing because nobody knows of my
You
exact
get extra marks for being creative.
right. But he would never call me out. He was a great teacher. Like I actually had great experiences just because I have 5 siblings and I was in the middle.
Oh,
so I
wow.
got no attention at home.
Damn.
So I got all the attention I needed at school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I would perform academically great just so I couldn't get in trouble, but I was a class clown from day one. You know? Class clown that gets great marks, that's a fucking that's an annoying thing for a teacher to navigate. You
But
know
at
what I
least
mean?
you got the marks.
But I got the marks because
Dude, I was the class clown, but I didn't get the marks. So picture that, man. From
Bro,
an
at
Arab
home?
mom.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, my parents, I got the marks to like buy my love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was my thing in the family. You know how like I told you like our Venn diagrams is we're the not fully Egypt,
Yeah.
not fully Canadian. That in my household, my Venn diagram was I'm the academic disciplined person.
Oh,
so I had to
okay,
play
okay.
to this brand almost.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I had siblings who were fucking up.
Yeah.
I had siblings who were this and that. My thing was if I get the good marks, I'll get
I'll get
they'll
the
pay
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So that was my whole thing.
Dude, I never. My
But you have just one sibling, right?
I have just one older brother.
So that's
it.
so it's a different dynamic for you.
It is. But we also like kind of we're very similar in a lot. We're so different, but we're very similar in a lot of ways. Like in high school, we both didn't really like. He would skip because he loved soccer.
Yeah.
So he would skip to go play soccer, and my dad would think that he was going to meet up with girls. So he'd sit him down. He's like, Ahmed, I want you to honestly tell me, are you doing drugs? And he's like, no, I'm going to play soccer. My brother had actually made friends with a guy who owns a soccer arena across like an indoor soccer like rink.
Yeah.
It's like it has boards, but it's all turf.
Yeah, they know
And-
soccer. Yeah.
Yeah. And he would go and he made friends with this guy. And my brother would go play soccer every day by himself. My brother was a star.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like obviously we're older now, but back then he was a beast. He
Killing
was
it, yeah.
To the point that when I came to high school, after him, people knew who I was because of him and they gave me respect because of him.
That's sick.
They called me Mini Ahmed and stuff, but it was crazy. So for me, though, I didn't do well academically initially. And they, like, you know, parent-teacher nights would roll around. And, you know, my mom would come in. And sometimes, you know how you do bad on a test or good, whatever, but your teacher would make you take it home and get it signed by your parents.
Yeah. I used to fake sign it.
I would same thing. I was fake signing it for forever.
Yeah.
And then, you know, halfway through the semester, after like 6 quizzes or tests, teachers getting back all these signed failed tests and no communication.
Yeah, right?
My she's like, "Are your parents okay with this?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, my mom signed it." You know, she's like,
they know I'm going to turn around. You know,
Yeah.
they know it's just kind of a lull. And,
"Yeah,
They know I'll pick it back.
I'm trying to be chill about it. That's whatever. It is what it is." So then I would end up. So then this teacher ended up, and so many teachers did that. They would pick up the phone because they would send home the parent-teacher night interview form to pick the times, and I would just pretend that I took it home, but I would never give it out. It was garbage, right?
Yeah, same here.
So then they would call my mom and they'd be like, "Hey, so we would we'd like to request a meeting with you on this night, whatever. Are you free?" She'd be like, "Oh, like we sent home a form." She's like, "I didn't get a form." Like, "Well, we sent a couple, really." And, you know, Muhammad's not really taking them home. So my mom would come down.
This sounds like the scene of a movie right
Oh
now.
my God, dude. I've had world-class beats because of this.
Yeah.
So it just, I would sit down, and you know how it is in the classroom. Sit down, your mom, and then the teacher. And they go, "So how is he?" And then, you know, they go, "You know what? Hey, first of all, it's so nice to meet you. You know, I heard a lot of great things about you. Mohammed's he's a very funny guy. He's just a character to have in the class. He's good energy. He's always making everybody laugh. But his marks are just, you know, why don't I show you, you know?"
Yeah.
And then they would take out this file and show like failed test after, not just failed,
Signed.
failed and signed by my mom who's sitting right there, who never signed any of
That's
this.
the...
And my mom's like, what is this? It's not my signature. Who, Muhammad, you...
Done.
You know, and she'd give me that look, and then the drive home was always the best, man. She would
Did
like,
you ever get this? Asbor.
Yeah. Well, she wouldn't even.
That's my mom's thing. The patience.
Yeah, I got that as a kid, but then it
You're gonna get beat.
and then it
Just
became
be
the look.
patient.
It became the look. She's like, okay, and then she'd look at the teacher. She's like, I'll make sure to deal with this.
Yeah.
And then on her way home, she would just be like driving, and I used to do this in stand up where she'd be driving, and you always knew your mom was mad at you when she was talking to God in the car.
Yeah, right.
But she's like, what do I have to do, ya Rab? Why? I ask for son, you give me clown, Rab. He makes them laugh. You know, it's like, you. She's
It's so
literally
true.
she's like,
You know you're fucked.
you make them laugh, but no grades. Okay, he's
Yeah.
clown. When she laughs to herself. She's not.
Yeah, just a depressed
He's
laugh.
clown.
Yeah.
And then we'll stop at a red light. She'll start talking to other cars about it. She'll like, hey, excuse me, roll down your window. If you want clown, my son is clown. He's very funny. Teacher love him. You want clown? You know, and I was sitting in the car like, excuse me, knowing that when I get home, I'm going to catch a beating. And I did.
Yeah, you got a nice one?
Oh, every time, man. Every time. You know, and that's the funny thing is that throughout my elementary school was kind of shaky because it's just you're putting in an environment and no one's really supportive and you're dealing with racism and discrimination. And not just that, but just the difference, a different life altogether. I wasn't used to any of this stuff. So by the time I caught up in English and I knew how to speak English, I was behind in math, science, geography, all this other stuff. So I'm like, oh my God. So my whole school life, I was struggling, you know? And then eventually got to high school, bombed miserably, passed everything with maybe like 50s, you know, a couple of 60s, 70s if I was lucky, you know?
Yeah.
And again, man, my mom was so mad. She was so mad. But again, you know, long story short is fast track to me going back to school later on in life and like getting like not 1 but 2 degrees and then becoming a teacher.
Yeah.
You know?
Look at me now, right?
That's what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you want to tell me that, man, so many teachers are like, look, with your current grades, have you looked into the trades? You know, because plumbing is thriving right now. Plumbing, woodworking, tool and die is a great new program that they're offering.
Right.
Dude, they just had
And
me
then I
figured
come
out.
up like, Miss Jenkins, should I do tool and die? No, you're gonna be a scientist.
Yeah,
No, boss, you're
you got the
promise for the
grades.
future. Yeah.
You got the grades.
Yeah.
But again, it taught me the power of the mind, man, and the power of just saying to yourself, you know what, man, I'm just going to do this because, first of all, I wasn't happy with how I was treated as a student. And I dreamed of having a teacher who was foreign, just like I was, who wasn't from this place, just like I was, that I can maybe look up to and talk to about this stuff. But all I had was old white ladies. They're all old white ladies, a couple of old white guys, but it was just people that never understood me and people that just, I never felt connected to anybody, you know?
Did the same thing. You like preaching to the choir, 100%.
Yeah, man. And now that I'm in a position where I can teach and I can educate those kids, it's the best feeling because I see little foreign kids looking up to me because I am now there to replace, you know, or I am now there. And last year they had this
Instead
teacher,
of 58-year-old Mr. Davidson.
yeah,
you know
instead of
what I mean?
58-year-old, you know, Eleanor, whatever, like now they have like this guy, right?
Yeah.
And I try to connect with them. I try to figure out. I never want to be the guy who's like, hey, what are you listening to? Little Uzi? That's garbage. This is not real music. This is real.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be that guy.
Have you heard of Chameleonaire?
Yeah.
Now that was when music was music. All right, Nelly, the Band-Aid on the face. Do you even know about style?
Do you know who the Sant Lunatics are? Batter up. You don't know? Come on.
Yo, we're gonna call it, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, do you have anything you want to plug at all?
What do I want to plug?
All your Instagram and all that stuff I put on the description. But if you got any shows or anything you're doing you want to turn out or anything for the London listeners or Toronto listeners rather.
Well, in November, December, I'm going to be in the West Coast in Edmonton and Calgary. So
Just touring out there.
yeah, I'm going to be out there for 2 weeks. So that's going to be between November 25th and December 6th. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of shows. That first weekend, I'm going to be hosting the Yuck Yucks in Edmonton. The next weekend, I'm hosting the Yuck Yucks in Calgary. And then in between, we're going to do a bunch of shows. And in addition to that, a fellow comedian, Danny Martinello, and myself are gonna do a show out there. And you know Danny too, right? Yeah, Patrick knows Danny. He's giving me the thumbs up. Danny and I are gonna put together a show out there called Habibis and Paninis.
Hell yeah.
And it's gonna be good, man. I'm looking forward to it because I know there's a lot of Arabs out there. And there's a lot of
hell yeah,
Italians
man.
out there too. So if any Arabs or Italians or Arab Italians listening,
Again, the dates again?
the dates is gonna be from November 25th until December 6th or 7th.
So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have Mo's Instagram stuff up on the description.
Yes, sir.
So follow him on Insta. What is your Instagram handle?
My Instagram is at Moe Ismail, MoeMoeIsmail.
There you go, at Moe Ismail. Just follow it now, and he'll be plugging all that stuff if you are in Alberta, if you are in the west coast of Canada. September 4th, Plus Time Comedy Show, the monthly edition at Free Times Cafe for anybody listening from Toronto. Come out 9 p.m. September 4th at Free Times Cafe.
Great show, by the way.
I've had Mo up a couple times.
Love
We'll
that
have you
show.
back on. It's
Love that.
appreciate you, bro. Yeah, we'll check it up on the gram. And thanks so much for listening. Again, tell your friends about the immigrant section. I'd love to have you back on as soon as
Thanks
possible.
for having
bro.
me, man. Thank
Hell
you.
yeah.
Appreciate it, bro.
Peace.